Extravaganza, all right.
Growl.
Hello, Linda.
Roar.
Hello, Cheryl.
Sammy, come on. Sing a song. On top of old Smoky, all covered with snow, I lost my true lover, for courting too slow, for courting the pleasure, pardon is free, but false heart love. Oh, she's barking. I'm sorry. Come on, Cheryl. See if you can make her sing.
And here we are at Wickham Hill, and we have an exclusive interview with that fine upcoming star,
Turn your face.
Sean Hercombe. Oh, am I?
I don't want an interview.
Say that a little louder.
I don't want an interview.
For the ladies and gentlemen out there in television land, is it true, Mr. Hercombe, that you're signing up for Arsenal?
No.
No, I thought not. Are you signing up for, who are you signing up for?
Liverpool.
You're signing up for Liverpool. Is it true they've already put you on the transfer list before you've even got there?
Yes.
Say something.
We'd like to say how happy we are to be with you today.
Why are you laughing then?
Because I feel silly and very self-conscious. But you remember our television program, Cheryl?
Oh, you're a good sport anyway.
Yeah. But I hope that the pictures in Russia come out well, so that we can show them and enjoy them after we come back from our trip.
Look up, Tom, so I can see your pretty eyes.
Sorry. My goodness.
Here's this, Sean.
Sean, do you have anything to tell the audience in Filmland?
Nope.
From Bugsy Malone?
No.
Nothing from Bugsy Malone. Anything from Oliver Twist?
Nope.
Okay. Watership Down.
Haven't read it.
Tell us about your dog, Sean. What's its name?
Tammy.
How long have you had it?
How long have we had?
7.5 years.
Good heavens, it's that old? It doesn't
Yeah.
look that old.
No, she's a lovely
Who
doggie.
taught it to sing?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, well, the cats really did. I used to go, here, kitty, 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 and the dog go, kitty, 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 kitty. Yeah, see? And that's how the singing started. And she's never stopped singing since. The horse talks, the cats talk, and she sings. Galloping Honda 125 takes him all over his priestly rounds. Next, I'll take you to the end of Wickham Hill so you can see just where we are today on this lovely Saturday afternoon in February. Hello, Cheryl. We are now walking down Wickham Hill, ladies and gentlemen, Cheryl and Tammy and I. And now, ladies and gentlemen, good on the embankment of the Neva River. And we've stopped to take films of, particularly of the Peter and Paul Fortress, which has been famous for several centuries as a place of imprisonment for, here it is. You're seeing it now, quite an impressive building. Dostoevsky and Chernyavsky were imprisoned here in the 19th century. The part of the film you're seeing now eventually empties out into the Gulf of Finland. This is the Cathedral of St. Isaac's and a statue of Nicholas I. This is a statue to Nicholas I from the front. Taking a picture of me in front of the statue of Nicholas I. Okay. This is our bus. We're just boarding to go further into the city.
Center of our city. This is the Winter Palace is the old building in the Palace Square, hence the name of the square, the Palace Square. And the square took its shape only in the 19th century.
This is the Alexander Column. It's completely granite, it weighs 600 tons, and stands at its base, supported only by weight. It isn't connected or glued to the base of the column. And this is the Winter Palace, in the same part of the square as the monument. Leningrad is a vast city. All the roads are so wide. This is a view of the square in the opposite direction. And there's our guide. Up close, quite an amazing place. The color, I hope you can see the color when the film comes out. It's the most amazing, magical blue. I wish we had more snow on the ground. It'd even look more impressive. I've been asked to mention that absolutely everything is being restored. I've also been asked not to mention Trotsky's name too loudly because he's been discredited, and I like him. We're at the Leningrad Hotel now. We've stopped to change some money, and I thought you'd like to see a film of the battleship Aurora, which was famous for the firing of the shot that started the revolution. Here's our motley crew.
My first?
This is the Hotel Sputnik. It's our Leningrad Hotel. We have lovely rooms. Some of the kids have a suite, and several of us are in single rooms with bathroom. And the food is very good. The kids are a bit hesitant about the strangeness of it, but we're coping quite well. Nobody's been sick yet.
On both sides of the avenue there are the common graves, about 20,000 people in each grave. On the graves on the right there are the granite blocks. So here you can see the boxes which...
This is Piskarov Memorial Cemetery, which is a monument to the people who died during the 900-day siege of Leningrad. Would you like to see some Russian ice? Here you go. There's an endless line of these monuments. Each one represents the death of 20,000 people. It seems to stretch on for acres and acres. The deaths that occurred in the siege of Leningrad in 1941-42. Oh, Greg, you look... We're going to leave the Piskarov Cemetery now. There comes Shrill. We're on our way this morning to visit a secondary English school in a suburb of Leningrad. The snow is beautiful. It's a cold, windy morning. This is the eternal flame to the memory of the revolutionaries who died in the Socialist Revolution. The church in the background is the Church of the Savior of the Spilled Blood, built over the place where Tsar Alexander II was assassinated by terrorists. I hope you can hear the music in the background because it's quite stirring.
Orchestra. On top is the Museum of Ethnography, or Folk Museum of Peoples of the Arts. And it is the former town hall.
This is Nevsky Prospect. Stretches for 4 miles in Leningrad.
This river sculpture.
This is the Fountain River.
Have a lot of fountains, but they were destroyed by the flood, and now they will be rebuilt in accordance with original drawings. Four sculptures representing a mountain small cathedral. The word "smolny" comes from the word "smola," which in Russian means tar. They were, at the time of Peter I, they boiled here tar for the need.
We're stopping at the Smolny Institute. I thought you might like to see the kids. This is a nunnery built by Catherine II for daughters of nobility. We're going to the Smolny Institute now, which was Lenin's headquarters in the 1917 revolution. Shake, shake, sorry. This is Vladimir Ulyanov, Lenin's headquarters. Bye-bye.
I built this. We're at the winter palace of Paul, the son of Catherine the Great. The snow is falling. It's absolutely breathtaking. I love it. Irene, you just stand up here by the horse. The Winter Palace is in the city of Pushkin-Pavlovsk, two connected villages. It's a whole area filled with former houses of the aristocracy. I hope you'll be able to see this film in spite of the snow. The snow's just blowing away right at the lens.
On the bookshelf there are 18th century Italian sculptures which were brought from East.
Side of what we all look like when we're listening to a tourist guide. Just wanted to show you Paul's wife's bed. I don't know whether she ever slept in it, but it's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Okay, I hope these come out. I'm going too fast. Dave, dining area of the living quarters. I'll just shoot along the table so you can get an idea of the length of the thing. It's very dark in here. I do hope it comes out.
A ludicrous scene of a lot of nasty American school children
Oh, but mommies and daddies want to see them.
throwing snowballs at each other, and this is a shot especially for their parents.
This is Karen Holcomb getting thrown in the snow. This departing scene through the window of the bus from the Summer Palace. I hope I'm not shaking too much. You see the river running in front? Goodbye, darlings! This is Catherine's palace we're approaching. I hope I can give you a close-up of it as well. The domes are a brilliant gold plate, and then the palace itself is the most gorgeous aqua blue. Because of the snow, we weren't able to stop at the palace, so we're now leaving Pushkin-Pavlovsk, headed back to Leningrad for a big evening. You see those houses in the distance? They look like they could have been in New England or somewhere in the country in the Midwest of America. This is the monument to the siege of Leningrad in front of the city. It was opened in 1975. Coming to Moscow Prospect. This is Moscow Prospect, coming into the city of Leningrad. I want to get... Right. We're now approaching the gates of the city limits. Those are beautiful ironwork gates in front of that bus that's blocking our view. Hermitage Museum, as Natasha calls it. It houses mainly Western European art. That isn't the Hermitage across the way that I'm filming now. I just wanted you to see the ice on the river and the snow since it's fallen last night.
Yes, we're in Los Angeles.
Here we are at the Hermitage. This is the main entrance to the Hermitage. Although we're being rushed through like cattle, and it's impossible to get good pictures, I've been amazed at the rare collection of pieces by Angelica and the Italian Renaissance artists who I never expected to see here. An amazing collection. Leonardo da Vinci. Another Leonardo, 1478. Titian, painting of Christ. And believe it or not, an early painting of St. Sebastian, arrows and all. Early Raphael. Raphael. Painted when he was 18 years old. Can you see that? Michelangelo. Painted in the style of Raphael by a Russian artist. 19th century? 20th? 18th century. This is an amazing Dutch painting by a Dutch painter, Paul Potter, 17th century. It's of the animals' law court, where the animals are taking those who have hunted them to court and to trial. I hope you can see some of the miniatures. Rembrandt. Abraham and Isaac. The Descent from the Cross, Rembrandt. All of semi-precious stones. The room of Peter the Great. I hope you can see the painting. I'll zoom in. The throne was done by an English master. Have a look at the roof. This is my bird's eye view of a certain part of Leningrad from the 8th floor of the hotel we're staying. I don't know whether I'm being a bit naughty taking this picture. I seem to remember something in the handbook about not taking pictures from certain heights, but anyway, I wanted you to see it. This is the
Isaac's Cathedral in St. Petersburg, Leningrad, sorry, on a very wet, cold Thursday afternoon in April. We have some Russian children from a local school with us who have been training as guides and learning English.
Go around the square a bit.
This is part of the square in which the cathedral is situated. The pink building is an old palace. I don't know what it's used for now, some kind of official office. And this is the vast bronze door of the cathedral. Part of a ceiling painting in this, looking now at the southern end of the cathedral, up the door, and to a painting of the Last Supper. Looking up now into the central lantern of the cathedral, you may just catch sight of one of the heavy gilt chandeliers. Looking at a stained glass figure of Christ at the main altar, we're standing just with our backs to the main door, and coming out now to show as much as possible of the apse, some of the green malachite columns and paintings. Looking at an archway at the top of the eastern end of the left-hand aisle, then down to the door, and pulling out to show the perspective of the aisle. A small framed mosaic of St. Paul, executed in the Roman manner. And here we have
7 o'clock in the morning, and Scott Cadu and I are standing in the window of a train on the way to Moscow. The most glorious sunrise. We're not supposed to be filming from this train either, but I was interrupted in mid-sentence by a railway lady with a stainless steel smile who didn't smile when she saw my camera, so I've come into my little...
the golden dome of the belfry in the Moscow Kremlin. Our first proper view of the Kremlin seen from across the Moscow River. The belfry was not only a belfry, it was also used as a watchtower. And now you can see a wider view of the Kremlin, which contains no less than 3 cathedrals and a private chapel for the use of the Tsars. That's the one with lots of little golden domes. And then the Kremlin, what was the Kremlin Imperial Palace, in which the Tsars stayed even when Moscow wasn't the capital, as they came here to be crowned, and now houses the Soviet Parliament. One of the towers of the Kremlin Wall. There are 20 towers around the Kremlin Wall. Across the wall of the Kremlin, actually situated in Red Square, we can see some of the very colourful domes of the, I think it's 14 or 15 small chapels which make up St. Basil's Cathedral. Continuing along the Kremlin wall, you can see how it's placed in relation to the rest of the whole fortress. The letters that look like CCCP, SSSR, stand for Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, This is the building which, as I said, now houses the Supreme Soviet. It used to be a palace of the Tsars. And this is a group photograph in more than one sense. They're about to change guards at the Lenin Mausoleum. At 3 o'clock, one of the Kremlin clocks will strike and it will actually happen. Hold it, you've got about 3 feet left. The clock is striking. It struck the first strike, the second, and the third. To look at the whole complex, including the museum and the cathedral. It's Easter Sunday. The domes you can see, the gold ones in this Kremlin square, the first one belongs to a tiny church of the 12 Apostles. The next group of domes with the beautiful decorations beneath are the Cathedral of the Trinity. The white building, the Hall of Facets, built in the 16th century, was used for the reception of foreign ambassadors to the court of the Tsars. Then the Tsar's Palace and the Church of the Annunciation. On the opposite side of the square, the cross of the belfry, built in the reign of Boris Godunov. Napoleon wanted it blown up, but luckily it didn't so much as collapse as simply crack and has been restored. Cross now to the Patriarch's Palace. Which contained its own church, of course. And the Cathedral of the Assumption, built in 1579 and now being restored for its 500th anniversary in 2 years' time.